Okay, good evening. I'm calling the special meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting for Wednesday, December 10th, 2025 at 6:31. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge free flag of the United States public for which
Rebecca, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Hoskins.
Here.
Commissioner Rose.
Present.
Commissioner Stoliar.
Here.
Commissioner Zamak.
Present.
Commissioner Hanson.
Here.
Chair Miles is absent. Vice Chair Condaria.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Okay, we will now open time for public comment. This is for items not on today's agenda. Speakers will have 3 minutes. Please state your name for the record. Do we have anyone online?
We do not have anyone in the audience with raised hands, and I'm not seeing any raised hands from attendees online.
Okay, thank you. I will now close open time for public comment and move over to our agenda. Okay, so let's start with the consent calendar. The purpose of the consent calendar is to group items together which are routine or have been discussed previously and do not require further discussion. They will be approved by a single motion. Any member of the commission, town council, or the public may request removal of an item of discussion. Rescheduling for items will be at the discretion of the chair and commission. Can I get a primary person for my motion?
Second.
I move to approve the minutes of November 20th, 2025.
Commissioner Hoskins.
Yes.
Commissioner Rose.
Yes.
Commissioner Stoliar.
Yes.
Commissioner Zamak.
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson.
Yes.
Chair Miles is absent. Vice Chair Condaria.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Okay, now we can move on to the business items. So can we get an update on the conceptual design of the renovation of the school-aged children's playground in the town park, please?
Sure. Good morning, good evening. I'm sorry it is so cold out, but I'm very ready for coming out. Let me share my screen really quickly here to go over the town park playground. Right. From the beginning. Perfect. So just a little recap. We had this first discussion at the previous meeting. The town park playground was last updated in early 2000. The replacement of the playground was identified as a park and rec deficiency in the master plan. It's been partially closed due to safety hazards since then. And then basically the replacement of the playground was identified as one of 3 priorities out of this commission in 2020-25 for the work plan. Kind of a timeline history back in November, we got 2 conceptual designs from the town park playground, option A and B. We reviewed some online survey and some in-person survey results. And then commission directed me to go back with Leo Savy from MRC Recreation to basically make some suggestions, possibly the modification to option B, and we'll report on that tonight. So just quickly, again, the survey was out when we first asked about what they want a new playground. We had 142 total responses. That was posted both at the rec center, at Town Park, in the newsletter, and on the website. We followed it up with the opportunity with the Healthy Play Initiative grant, which was a partnership with CPRS and the MRC Recreation. The new playground, once approved, will be part of the national demonstration site. And also the timeline is that if we want to move forward with this playground grant, we have to purchase this by the end of the calendar year. So really we need to make a decision tonight of what we want to do going forward. Otherwise the grant is ineligible for us to use. Town Park Playground Conceptual Design, A and B, we had 295 total online responses and then 47 total in-person responses from our childcare program. I think we had 205 the last time. We were at 200, picked up 90 more in the one thing. Still, option B seems to be strong with 191 total people who liked option B. Just a quick option here of the kids who took the survey. And then some information requested back from the November meeting. Commissioner asked, how much do we spend annually on the certified playground mulch? We spend about $7,000 annually just on that site. So that's an annual fee. Public Works usually does it in the springtime to replace the mulch. It breaks down over time, about an annual replacement of that for that playground itself. There was a question of elimination of the rock feature in option B and adding the climbing web. The report back from Leo was this would take up about 25% of the area. You would lose 26 feet by 26 feet and would eliminate 2 platforms and multiply components of this design. So there's a bit of a challenge there. The redesign would take several weeks and would cause the project to miss the grant deadline by the end of the calendar year. I also followed up with Leo and asked, if there's an opportunity, could we add just a climbing feature in the spider web? That would be additional cost of $15,000 as that is not part of the grant for the structure. So it'd be a separate add-on feature that would be added to the cost to be put on if we wanted to for just that spider feature. A couple other things. Commission asked about option B. There is enough area to include a standalone rope feature in possible phase 2 of this project if that's the way the commission wants to go tonight. It could be added to the 2026 work plan. The estimated cost of the standalone feature and the port-in-place surface is $195,000. We can see the biggest cost there is literally the Brazilian surface. It's a large area. You'd be surrounding both the rock wall, the one animal feature, and then adding that climbing structure. So your biggest cost is literally just the port-in-place surface, which is the most expensive cost of any playground in design. Just quickly, here's conceptual design A. We kind of talked about this. I'm just going to a couple slides so people can see remember what it looked like. I know Commission had some concerns about the color and the layout, but again, really liking the spiderweb feature, the overhead shot of option A, visual design B, which had the bigger slide and the smaller walk wall on the side. There's a delay on my thing. I apologize. And the overhead shot of what it would look like orientated with the park. And then basically the 2 options for financially for the 2 playgrounds. In option A1 and A2, the savings was $58,000. On option B1 and B2, the option savings was $82,000. There's some questions last night about funding, and I want to make sure everyone's clear on what happened. So basically, there was $150,000 additionally identified for this project in the sales tax override fund based on the original cost of this project. Staff was recommending basically utilizing $106,000 of fund balance from the Rec Capital Fund towards this project if the support comes out of the Park and Rec Commission tonight. The rec fund balance is $321,000. So after this project, if you choose option B or option A, you could have up to $161,000 of total fund balance left. So additional fund balance means that there is money that has been sitting in the rec capital that hasn't been used over years. So it's built up. So it's an opportunity if we want to add to this and choose one of these options, you have money in rec capital that basically could be used. That money rolls over every year. That's money how if you want to do a larger project, let's say a new bathroom or a new community center, you would take that rec fund balance and basically save money year to year to add up to what it would be. And then we'll talk about a little more in the capital project in our next discussion with the next staff report. But that is where that money sits. So going forward, you will see money in the town budget set in rec capital to take care of rec capital projects for the town. Tonight, I'm asking basically to review and discuss the additional information provided by Leo. I'd like to make a final decision on a conceptual design to pass forward, and that my plan right now is to present the final recommendation to town council at the Tuesday, December 16th meeting, and then basically approve the project and have project start early January. And Leo estimates probably a 3 to 4 week timeline to do the project. I have notes from Chair Miles that I'll talk about after we have our discussion, but does anybody have any discussion or questions for me about what I presented from Leo and from the company?
Was I understanding you correctly that to add the spider web, the cost of the web is $15,000, but the cost of the flooring underneath it is $200,000?
Yes, the actual structure itself is not expensive. The problem is that is a large area you're now going to uncover. So if you're going to include all the area by the rock wall and the animal feature and the new starter structure, that's what the 190,000 would be to include all. Yeah, pour and play surface is the most expensive part of any playground.
And the only options are the chips or the pour to play. There's nothing in
No,
between.
there's nothing in between. It's based. I mean, both are ADA compliant, but I mean that is what most people put in playgrounds. It's either recycled or chips or the pour and play surface. Yes.
Because I got all excited when you said it was only an additional 15,000.
Right.
Oh, no question.
The
Let's do
playground
it.
equipment itself is not expensive. The actual engineering and putting the pour and play surface and the labor is what gets expensive. The equipment's not the expensive part.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
On this. It's required or strongly recommended. Added in with what's.
You could add the web and not do the port and play, correct? It just Leo gave me the price of, because if we wanted, because originally one of the option B1 or B2 was the entire thing to have the port and play surface. To add just the web, you're probably looking at the 20 to 25, maybe 30,000 with labor and installation, and probably some footing you have to put in the ground and that kind of stuff. But that is just the higher price for that entire port and play surface. But you could add a spider web right now, after the project's done, for a lesser cost. Yes.
And where would that go? Would we be replacing anything that's over on that side currently?
No, you would be adding it to the distance between where the new playground is and current structure is.
Okay.
But it would be going out, finding a contractor, getting some designs, because it's not something that's in the scope of the grant right now. So literally you could go with any playground company you wanted to say, I just want to add this one feature to this area. You could shop around, do whatever you want to add that. But again, you'd have to have some construction and some design of where it would go to add footings and that kind of stuff to that area.
Wouldn't adding the web just satisfy the design requirements for the grant? So we can just say, yes, we can make the decision on that and say, yes, we're doing this, and add the web, throw it in. So we don't have to go about and find a separate contractor for this.
I'd have to ask him. I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be an add-on. It'd be additional costs to say, while you're out there, can you install the web? But I don't know what the additional cost total would be to move the wood chips out, put some type of base setting of footing in, and then install the web.
They're already moving the wood chips out, like in partially anyway, because they have to lay the pour and play.
Right. The wood chips would go from where the current playground is now to where the climbing wall is. They're going to fill that in because they're about to do it anyway. They would just move it all over there to that area.
Right. But they're still doing that work to move it, right? So
yeah,
I don't know, it seems intuitive that they would. I would like to know that, but it seems like an exciting opportunity to add the web. And I think when there was some consensus last time that we didn't necessarily need that pour and play underneath the entire structure, just given the cost is so disproportionate to the overall maintenance for the wood chips year to year.
Yeah, I think last time we were talking about B1, right? Like with the additional wells.
Yeah.
Correct.
That kind of sense.
My
Yeah.
priorities here is done a lot of work.
Yeah.
So kind of maybe, are you done asking questions? Do we want to pause this, close it, open public comment, and then I can kind of give the summary from Alden, and then we can kind of have a discussion? Does that work? Okay.
Yep.
Questions?
No, so
Question, please.
I mean, this might be something that you guys have already talked about. Is there an occupancy difference between the two? Like,
No.
do they house different number of kids to play?
No.
Then I think B1 is a very obvious selection, if I'm able to say that, right? Yes.
I think
Or-
that was like the consensus that we had
Yeah.
from last discussion too.
Also some more information that he wants to read from Alden. So this is kind of more the questions,
Right.
any other questions we have, we can get into.
Any other questions? No? Can we pass it over to Alden?
Do you want to do public comment for, or do you want to do this?
Okay, so we'll open the floor for public comment.
We did not receive any emailed public comments on this item, and I do not see any raised hands online.
Okay, I'm ready to hear. I don't know how to phrase that.
Okay, so from Chair Miles, with the understanding the web will cause a delay and that a redesign may not meet the requirements, qualify for the discount, I think we should move forward with option B per the community feedback. I think we should only pour it in play service under the playground surface of the new playground. We can save a web feature and more pour and play or possible wood chips for a future work item in the space with the rock wall or underneath the shade structure.
Okay,
So back to my question, based on Alden's comments, it would not delay if we added on the web, it would still make the cutoff time for getting the grant and we'd be good. We just wouldn't be able to afford at this point the new poured in place.
Correct. I just need to basically confirm that we want to go with whatever option, have Leo order the equipment by the December deadline. They could start that project, and then we could add the spider climbing feature at whatever point we want to, even at the same time. Yes. But
Okay,
it would
thank
be
you.
it'd be two separate things they would work on.
I think my only question is, I think that's an assumption that it would be two separate things that they would work on.
Well, it's not part of the bid package that you saw for the grant.
Right. I understand that it's not part of, but I don't know how this, I've never done a playground before, but I've done work with a contractor before and have added, premium add-ons in the middle of the project, and they tack it onto the project. It's just because it's economies of scale, as Tim mentioned. You're already there. We already do it. I would hate to do the project, wait, and then have an additional cost just because we created two separate projects, and then it's not coming across clear. But does that make sense?
On my end is that the commission is interested in exploring the feasibility of adding this amenity to the current project scope, whether that's a separate agreement with the same contractor. So perhaps we have two options. Put it in the staff report and see if council is amenable to adding the added expense once you get, if you can get a number before the staff report is due. I know. Or include it, know that that's not going to be wrapped up immediately, and get it included in the staff work plan as one of our preferred options to bring to council at the January strategic planning and goal setting session with the council. But I think maybe it's possible to get it in the staff report that we'll be submitting to staff tomorrow for next week's council meeting. You have a ballpark.
Yeah, I guess.
You can see if they can get you something tomorrow.
it would also make more sense because then you're not like decommissioning the area again, right? It's
Yeah.
like you do it all in one go and then
Yeah.
it's done. It's not like, okay, we did this, enjoy the park for 5 days. Now we're going to decommission it again.
The only difference you would probably close off that entire playground area. You wouldn't open the walk wall or anything else. The whole thing would be shut down during construction. So you could maybe keep part of it open if you had some fencing up, but if you're going to redo if you're going to install the spider feature and redo the playground, you would just shut that whole area down completely. And then
Which makes more sense, right? Like I don't think a lot of I don't have kids, but I don't think a lot of people are taking their kids to a construction zone usually to play, even if it's, I think you'd go to a different park for a little bit, be inconvenienced, right?
Sometimes construction zones are the most fun.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just, I understand that it might be two separate agreements just because this has been like scoped out or whatever, but it's still within, like, you could say it's two separate agreements. We're going to sign two different things at two different times, but it's still within the same scope of work and same work period.
Correct.
Okay.
Isn't it more like a change order on?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And I had the question I raised to Tim today about the uh, cattail spinner that I thought was a spinner, but it says if other people spin you, it's a spinner. And I wondered if we wanted something that was a spinner, if it's going to change the timing, forget it. But if it's actually a spinner, there was another spinner that was not that much more money than the cattail stick. And I wondered about that.
I can ask. I mean, if you'd want something that's a spinner you could do yourself that has something else spin you, I can ask if he can change that out before I submit it to council. Whatever the rest of the commission feels on.
I don't know. I missed the meeting where they talked about the spinner. I could hear it, but there was an audio problem with the video that I was watching, so I couldn't tell what the feeling about the spinner was, whether people were pro or con spinning.
And
It has to have a
just so we're
spinner.
confirmed, the cattail spinner is, sorry, my computer's slagging here. It's this guy right here, right? That guy in the middle is what you're talking about, that cattail spinner. So those two, so possibly removing those two independent items to have something that you could spin yourself, not have someone have to spin you on.
That miniature little bear.
I mean, what I will say is I used to play on those with my sister as a kid. Yes, you can be spun, but you can also just put your foot on the ground and spin yourself, like almost like you're on a skateboard and just like, but in a circle. Does that make sense? Like you're standing on it with one foot and like you can do that. Well, honestly, I think for me growing up, even if it wasn't like if I came to the park alone with my babysitter, whoever I was with, if I wanted to go on that thing, it was an opportunity for me to like make more friends at the park because I'd be playing with other people and then they'd spin me as well. So I feel like honestly, I like that one. I think it was really fun for like me to meet new people and have fun, like engage with other kids my own age. I really liked it. Also, like I would see the guys try to do it and see which one of them would like not like you would spin on it and see who could walk in a straight line. No one ever could. It was really funny to watch though. We would laugh at them. It was hilarious. But yeah, I like that one. I thought it was a really great opportunity because you don't necessarily have to. But also, like if you're talking about like the merry-go-round type thing, that one also I will say also does foster community because you can put more people on it. But whatever, I like both.
I was going to say the flexibility of having both options is kind of nice, right? Like you can build community and have people on it, but if you're by yourself and you're trying to entertain yourself, it's kind of nice to have that advantage. And certain sizes of people can't necessarily reach the ground and be able to kick themselves off all the time.
True.
I know as a very, very small person.
I can. There's many options with an independent standing. I mean, if I would basically go back to Leo and say I want something that matches. I don't know if that piece comes in the color that matches the playground. So if the direction is we want something that's you can spin yourself that matches the playground to be put in those two areas, I can have him change that design before it goes to council.
So there are two of them.
There are two of them, correct?
So maybe one and one.
My only concern is space. These are like really small, the footprint. Like given that like about changing the web, they were gonna take out a bunch of stuff. Like I'm pretty sure they have clearance requirement. But that's something that they will have to figure out.
They do. I guess my question for commission is if they only could put one back in, would you rather have one spinner that you can do yourself or two like this? I guess is the other question if that's important.
I think one
each, yeah.
Is there a website where we can look up any options?
There's a full catalog. There's a lot of options. I mean,
like an online catalog?
I have in my office. I don't know if they're online. I have in my office. Patty Commissioner Stoll was able to find some. I just don't know if it matches this playground or not.
I think we probably want something to match the aesthetic, just given the survey responses. we're, I think, pretty strong on that.
I would agree. I don't think we should have like all brown and green, and then one like bright neon
Right.
orange merry-go-round type spinner in the middle on the like the corner. I feel like that'd just be a little off-putting.
So what's the name of the
So they're MRC Recreation,
MRC?
With
Oh, I
lots
see
of-
that. That's
a parent
website
company
there.
of Game
Okay.
Time, correct? Yeah.
MRC Rec.
So Game Time and MMRC, they're a total parent company of Playcore, which is the overall company that does everything from fitness equipment to playgrounds to all this equipment. So I would just want some direction of how commission feels about the two that are here and modifying or taking one out and putting one that's, I guess, easier to spin by yourself is the best way to say it. And then the one here where somebody has to spin you if it's able to fit in the safety features of the park with the fall zones.
All right, I just pulled up the catalog. I'm just looking at how big. That's what I was looking at.
And again, the price of, sorry,
One was like 1,500 and one was 2,500 or something. Or what? It was
Is that
pretty
including
negligible.
installation?
the current price of the cattail spinners are $2,700 a piece, almost $6,000 for the two spinners
Okay.
in the breakdown that I got from Game Time.
The other option, which might kind of simplify everything, is hat spinners.
Here's the,
And then you can explore a la carte net. So be a spinner, type of park. That way we can move forward with what we have in the design. There's no changes. You can get console and then we can still have a super awesome net spinning.
what is the name?
Honestly, I think that the smaller ones are.
Mhm. What's the name?
I think the thing with touching the ground is even if it were to be like a merry-go-round type spinner, I don't even know how, the English of these descriptions is amazing. But the small cat ones, honestly, I feel like it'd be easier to touch the ground on that than it would be like minus 5 could, well, I feel like honestly it'd be easier to touch the ground on the cat spinner, but that just might be me.
Yeah.
Oh, like a basket type thing?
Yeah, something like this because it spins and it's the web.
One of those. Oh, I love
It
those.
also opens it up to younger.
Yeah,
kids.
wait, I love.
That's far
I always
better.
thought you were talking about like one of the platform
Not
things,
that
like
Oh,
the
yeah.
bars.
Taking. It's also.
I thought that's
isn't
what you were
better than a
talking about.
spinning
Smaller.
one that's open.
Oh,
Like
like
a
the type
little
of-
merry-go-round.
I thought you were
I've seen a
talking about
lot of
like
kids
the,
fall off.
like ones
Oh.
with like flat bottom and there's the bars
Yeah, they're
across.
It's whatever. It's
About-
nice. I don't have
okay.
it.
The big merry-go-round.
The fat ones, and that's what I thought you.
No, this
I
is
thought you were
more
talking
like
like a big one.
individual.
So-
Okay, my
Yeah.
bad. I was imagining something.
Sorry, I'm gonna bring it
different.
back. So I would kind of either it sounds like B1 is the preferred option, with the port and play service just to the playground. We're looking at adding the web feature in the natural wood chips area. Well, the question I needed from a motion and a discussion is with the spinners, the cat spinners, what are we doing going forward? That I would have to have them turn around a design very quickly to go to town council. So is it we want to replace the two that are there with something that's easier to you spin yourself, or the option of something where you would be able to spinning cage net spider web thing in the wood chip area? I'm open. I just don't want to delay the whole thing. Now I just, like I said, adding a different feature to the wood fiber is different because it's not part of this that we're ordering. It's going to be an add-on anyway. No matter what.
The color.
Correct.
Color would match the.
Well, and then if you think about it, if you're doing the spinner web thing, it may not need to match the color because it's going to be next to the rock wall anyway. It's not going to be part of that playground. It'll be separate. You could do just a regular rope color or whatever else because it's not going to be in that same area. It'll be a second section. That's the other option. I just need to know. No, what I'm saying is if it's
Kind of on
if
this.
you're talking about the spinning feature with the rope, that would
The other spinner.
The web cone thing, or the basket.
sorry, I thought I heard from Commissioner Rose. He was option of the spider web climbing that would spin at the same time. Is that wrong?
Yes, but that would replace the web. This is to replace the poles. So the thing that she's showing is the thing that you can spin yourself on for the pole.
And then the web type thing would replace
The
the
spider.
the web spinning thing would replace the spider web.
Yeah.
That would replace the regular web, supposedly.
Yeah, so instead of having a standstill web, we would have one that moves around a little bit to satisfy the want to have motion. And then if we aren't able to find a matching cone moving thing that lets you move yourself, we could stick with the poles.
But there's a huge difference in the expanse of the spider web. If you look at the overhead view, the spider web is enormous, and this is a little thing, the basket spinny thing.
The basket would come where the poles are.
Right, but I thought you said instead of the spider web.
No, we're talking about a moving structure that's a web that's bigger that can replace the web. So instead of having the standstill web, your web can move like it does at Piper.
Got it.
Something to consider about the cattails, though, is not just the color, but it matches the overall like theme and aesthetic. So you've got the butterfly, you got the lily pads, you got the whole nature theme, and so I don't know. That just makes it feel more cohesive.
I'll
I
agree
would
with
hate to, and this also seems like it's. I feel like the web is a quick win. The replacing the spinners feels like it's really overcomplicating at this point if we're looking for a
I
quick
think
decision.
unless everyone is like highly opposed to the single spinner thing that's currently there, it's right, honestly, and we're talking about replacing the web like you said would be necessarily a quick win. I think we should just stick with the ones where you supposedly have to be spun and then just do the motion of the web. Also, if you're at a park, I'm assuming you're not there alone as a 4-year-old, so just have your parents spin you. This doesn't seem like a huge inconvenience.
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes they don't want to get up and do that, but I think that what we're hearing is let's
And you
go
add
for the efficient victory route, which is leave the spins the way they are, because that's already been quoted out and decided. Since we hadn't decided on the actual web, let's see if we can try and find one that semi matches, because it's an easier thing to find because it doesn't have to be an exact match. And let's find one that spins like Piper, so it kind of satisfies both purposes.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay, do we? Oh,
I will say my only question, just my honest feedback, is that room would be the challenge. You may be compromising a smaller web feature for something that spins because you have clearance issues with both the rock wall and the thing there. So if we're okay with a smaller web, because there are going to be engineering to look at how much fall hazard you have, how much space you have for those things. So as long as that's something that we're understanding, that it may be a smaller, because obviously the climbing wall fall area is different than the spinning net area. So if that's okay, I will work with Leo to find that a possible, spinning web feature.
I think that's fine.
I think it's okay.
I think it,
Someone needs to
I think
wrap
it
that all
depends
up.
on how much
So,
Riversack. I don't think we have enough information yet, honestly. Yeah, I think the spinning web might be a nice to have, but if that blows up the whole like decision making process and consideration process, because okay, now it's much smaller, and now we all have to reconvene and think about it again, and it delays the project or process, then I don't know. I'm not sure
I agree. I think
that's the right move.
I just want to make sure that kids would use it as it is.
oh, they 100% would. The spinny spider web it Piper, we would go. I know, but I'm saying like in general, I think that like the spinning web and the regular web, when I've been at parks as both, even when I was above playground age, whatever that is, 7, I don't know. I still enjoyed it, and I think that even I would still play on that park now, and I'm 16. So I think kids would love it. I think I would kill to be on that playground as a child. I would love it.
yeah, I think the only reason that I'm kind of swaying towards putting our effort towards finding something like this is we only do a big project like this every once. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like we're doing this every week. And I feel like even if it is a little bit more of a push for us to do something that we've seen have success, like at Piper Park, we have seen how much everyone gravitates towards it. Like every time I've gone, even if the swings are not being used, the slides aren't being used, that is one area that is always used because it really, like, I don't know, quiets the mind, right? Because you're like moving in two different directions. You're climbing, like, I think it's very entertaining. Not being 7 years old myself, but in my opinion, I think that it's just a lot more engaging than a standstill. But if it isn't something that we can make happen and it's, we got to get this done to get the grant, then we got to do it.
Agree to make a motion to move forward with option B1 as is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Address the net issue in a discussion.
Yeah, the town park subcommittee is still active, so I could bring it back.
Are you guys?
Sounds
I
good.
am, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
let's do that.
So do I have a motion?
Sure, I motion to approve B1.
Can we call it to a vote? Please.
Commissioner Hoskins,
Yes.
Commissioner Rose,
Yes.
Commissioner Stoliar,
Yes.
Commissioner Zamak,
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kondaria.
Yes.
Passes.
Perfect. Okay, moving on to business item 5B, discussion and approval of final projects to be elevated from the facilities master plan to be included for consideration during the annual strategic planning / goal setting workshop with town council in January. I'll invite staff to now present the item.
Let me share my screen again. Okay, background. So this was a process we started in October. We reviewed the process of how potential capital project could be elevated to the town council. Commission had a really good detailed philosophical discussion about how projects should be elevated to the work plan. Commission developed some very core key values to help them determine what projects should be elevated. So the values that were brought out, east-west versus balance, community interactions, getting people outside, creating spaces for all, exercising together, safety, and a sense of belonging to facilities. So kind of a little review. Here's what was done in 24-25, everything from Menke Park improvements to EV parking at the Pixie parking lot to enhanced turf maintenance in Talon Park. In 25-26, we've got some projects that were completed already. Cove Park Picnic Area 1, Community Center Door and Patio Project, Granada Park Tennis Court replacements, and a whole list of things that are still going on. I think a lot of times we find out with these big projects, they take longer than the full year to complete. Eastfield renovation is going to hopefully break ground in February. It went to town council at the last meeting, was approved. Town Park Playground we just talked about. Menke Park renovation of the landscape area February to May of 2026. Town Park Picnic Area, Knoll and tree planting in February of 2026. Wheelchair lift for the rec center, January of 2026. And then we're replacing the fire alarm suppression system at the rec center also in January of 2026. A long list of things still to be completed in 2026 from the previous work plan, and probably I will say the largest, well, not the largest, one of the most intense is probably the Corte Madera International Center, which is scheduled to open in summer of 2026. That is a 6-month project that probably touches almost every department in the town. We've been meeting already on designs, working out some plans, working out programming. There's going to be a lot of input and a lot of work from many departments in the town. I want to be conscious of public works bandwidth. We are currently down one senior civil engineer. When RJ Suko left, Chris Good stepped in to be the interim director, and they haven't backfilled that position yet. So they're a little just conscious of what projects they're going to take on for the year. Right now, in talking with Chris Petlock, the finance director, there is going to be in the next 2 years a base of $200,000 sitting in the recreation capital fund. That's the base. We can add to it. We can ask council for more money, but at least there's a base starting when we talk about projects. There's the base that is there. In discussing with Chris Good, any project we bring forward probably will not happen until after the fiscal year. We can do community outreach, we can gather input, but like the physical ability for public works to be able to address these projects won't happen until the year. Obviously, the list there is quite large. It's still going to be worked on for the first part of 2026. So anything new probably won't happen till the end, and it may carry over to 2027. But basically, he felt confident in 2 to 3 kind of projects the town could basically really accomplish in 26, 27 to work on for both staff bandwidth and then funding from the direct capital fund. Here's the long list that we kind of put together last meeting. Town park, outdoor fitness equipment, also in town park, some distance marker carryover, placement of picnic tables, bocce ball courts, kind of explore the connection to Town Park Plaza and explore the replacement of the bathrooms. Cove School, enhanced field maintenance, repair, replace picnic tables, renovation of picnic area 2, outdoor fitness equipment, shade structure, additional picnic tables. Granada, still the enclosure for the bathroom and the ADA restroom, or additional dedicated pickleball courts, and then Higgins Landing and Bayside Trail. Higgins Landing, the butterfly pollinator garden, and then Higgins Bayside Trail, the additional seating opportunities. Keep in mind, anything at Cove School or Renata takes quite a bit of coordination with the school districts who own that property. So it's different, obviously, I'll be doing a park project in Town Park compared to doing something at Cove School or Granada, where there are agreements we have to basically work with the district to approve on, and any type of improvements have to be approved through the district and their boards. That is what I have for the presentation. My goal tonight is to kind of look at this list and figure out what are 2 or 3 projects we really think we want to elevate to the town council for strategic planning that are at least the base of the $200,000. And then are there opportunities out there that staff can do to secure grant funding or to have any type of resources that we really think are passionate projects that we want to try to accomplish in the end of 2026 and into 2027.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commission?
Yes. Have we identified the location if we were to do the outdoor fitness equipment?
We have not. So there would be quite a bit of community outreach like we did with the bathrooms or we did with, I guess, the pickleball courts. So if that's a project you fast forward, we would do a lot of community outreach in the first part of 2026 to figure out where is it? Is it Granada? I mean, not Granada. Is it Cove? Is it Town Park? What kind of opportunities we have? We had a FitLot presentation 3 months ago. It's all blank. A couple months ago from someone who has done this in a couple cities and towns. Commissioner Stoller and I visited separately the FitLot they put in Katati, where there was a grant opportunity. But again, they did extensive community outreach of, where you'd want it to go, what elements you'd want to see, all those kind of things before anything was finally pushed forward for Public Works to work on.
It does sound like it satisfy a lot of the goals that were identified, but yeah.
So probably half of these are carryover from last year that it didn't happen. Some are smaller, obviously, like adding a picnic bench or places. Some are much bigger. But there are always things in the work plan that we can say explore. So it doesn't mean we're going to do it right now, but explore the connectivity of Town Park Plaza with the rest of the parks. That's something staff can work on to figure out how to do that, but there's no money attached to it. But it is a project that staff would work on in the calendar year.
For something like that, when we get to the budget portion of the discussions, we would budget a certain amount for planning and engineering costs, knowing that in the subsequent budget year, a greater amount would be spent on capital project itself. So it splits the funding up.
This is now the 3rd year that I've been trying to get this done. In the last go round, rather than putting the money aside, Tim advised that we do research. So last year we did research. We had the gentleman from FitLot actually happened to be in Corte Madera for some other purpose, and he went and checked out possible places. I don't know if you got a report on the possible places on that. So that addresses what Kiko was asking about. And I would like to see it move forward finally. And the options are 2 major different options. One is that the town pays the bill for this kind of structure. I think everybody saw the FitLot structure. And the other is that a foundation foots the bill and does all of the payment for the installation and the training of a coach and everything that is involved with it. So it's a very vast difference between, is it something that we're going to take out of our own pockets, or is it something that a foundation is going to fund? And
What is the foundation?
The Fitlot people make these marriages between like Fireman's Fund Foundation or ARP or something like that, and the communities. And so the community gets the benefit of it without having to pay for the cost of it.
I don't.
I did hear from one of the council members who thought that we didn't need to go that way. We did it with the skate park with the foundation, the Scotty Lapp Foundation, and it seemed to work fine and got done pretty quickly. So it could go either way.
I think the key with the fit lot is that basically it's they need the land and the opportunity, and if we go that route, they will go out and secure the financial and the instructors help kind of teach when that happens. It's just the opportunity to build it in a community.
Is there a constraint on, like, let's say money's not a constraint because we're partnering with a foundation or something like that to get in, but is there a constraint based on the capacity that you just mentioned for civil engineers, or would this be entirely separate? Say if we did a fit lot and it was partially paid for, would we be able to?
That would be dependent on if they handled the construction management portion of it, or if it's handled in-house by our engineering department.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
in my discussion with Public Works, the easier the shovel-ready project is, the easier it is to get completed, right? So if they have come in and they have all the background in construction, they have all the connections with the playground equipment company, they have all that stuff to do, and they present a final plan to the commission to approve and then to Public Works to also approve. It's a much easier process. But we're having to do it. We're doing construction management. It's much more on time on staff.
Yeah.
Either way, you're probably looking at, I want to say the skate park, we had 3 months of community outreach where we literally talked about redesigning, brought people in, had kids pick what kind of elements they wanted, brought back some final designs, brought it back to commission and brought it back to council final approval, and then gave them the green light to go.
Yeah.
But it was a multi-month community outreach to make sure this is, and the same with this. I think the bathroom was the same way. They were, I think, 4 or 5 possible locations in the park, what it would look like, how it would kind of feel, and then move forward. So that would all be stuff that would be done earlier in the year by staff and myself, and then bring Public Works in at the tail end of the year when they have the ability to do the construction.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. And I think we should obviously follow that process. But I think the decision to do that also, it kind of depends highly on where we would do it, where it would be. So I don't know how.
So we did the master
That would
plan.
happen.
They identified both Cove and Town Park. At Cove, they identified kind of over the backside of the school where the basketball court and sand volleyball pit is one area they identified. And at Town Park, I want to say it was in the kind of the front of the park by the Pixley parking lot was one area. They said you could put one in here. So when we did the master plan, it was like, it could go here, it could go somewhere else. But if you had to get all these features in, you could place it here. So they kind of gave us a roadmap of opportunities and possibilities.
Is there, and I don't know what's the appetite or thought about doing 2 at once or versus doing one as more of a pilot and then doing other projects? Is there an opinion on that?
I'm not understanding what you're asking.
So, because it's on here twice, right? So the question is, like, this is something that seems like it ticks a lot of boxes.
You mean because it's on Cove and on Town Park?
Yeah, so it seems like it ticks a lot of boxes, but like, so would there seems to be an area at Cove that is obvious to do it. Like, would we, if we decided, oh, the outdoor fitness equipment ticks a lot of boxes for us, I don't know if it'd be prudent of us to say, let's start at Cove where we know like there's an area for it and pilot the program here, and then like table Town Park for later instead of doing 2 at once. I mean, because they're also big ticket items. I don't know if we thought about something like that.
I would say your challenge is district property versus town property, right? There's different hoops you jump through at the Cove. For example, the spot there's not a lot of parking back there during the day when school's in session. And when school's out, yes, there's parking back there. Most of that parking in the daytime is teacher parking. Where at Town Park, you don't have that challenge because you're on town property. So I think that's the difference. Now, I don't know if we at the Fit Lot said, can you put 2 in one city at one time? I don't know what he would say. I mean, I don't know if we gave the direction to, fundraiser coordinate with those sponsors or those donors to do that. I don't know how that would work. But it's a question of, I know, and recognize there was this opportunity 5, 6 years ago. I was going to say, and then there were some hurdles with that. So maybe share that.
I was just going to highlight that. But first, at the Cove School, were you talking about the actual footprint of the current basketball court?
No, the area where there's that grass area behind the
Okay.
basketball court.
But that, yeah, that is still town use area
Yeah.
controlled by the district, whereas that basketball court is district property. So about 5 or 6 years ago, probably more like 6, a company came to Parks and Rec Department and offered to build a lot. It's the same company that I believe built the one in the marina in San Francisco. It's blue. It's a square.
Yeah.
They build those. They get a donor. The town would provide matching funds, and I can't remember what the amount of matching funds was at the time, but they chose the sponsor, and they the backstop wall for the equipment had the logo of the sponsor. So at the time, the commission wasn't comfortable approving a project where it had to be a specific footprint, no customization, and no approval or say over the image that was painted on the backdrop. And at the time, it was only going to be a go if it was placed on Tamalpais next to the community center. So that was a chosen location. And it was a one size fits all project. You must provide X amount of square footage, and you must allow us to install this with no customization. So at the time, it just dropped. We also had a change in staffing and leadership at the time. So it got tabled, and then it never got untabled thanks to COVID. So I can probably find information in my archives about what that company was and what the grant amount was. But there was a significant amount of discussion at the time about where in town it could go and what it would look like and what amenities it would include.
I personally have no appetite for having like a Doritos fitness center or anything sponsored. I think this is a little gauche, but
They were hoping to get Marin Health to partner with us, but it just wasn't a guarantee.
oh, okay. Well, that would make some
You
more
know, I
sense.
think it would have had a nexus with public health.
All right. Okay.
Even the design that was presented, I think it was AARP, and it was like tastefully in the port and place surface. You couldn't see it unless you were there working out. Then it had AARP on it. It wasn't like a giant billboard when you walked up to it. It was literally just in the painted, or not painted, I guess, poured into the actual designs you just saw when you walked up.
They're usually flexible. Like, so we've done a lot of sponsorships on things. So like we're building out a property and we're taking a lot of sponsorship, and they're usually a little bit flexible with, like, since they have exclusivity, as long as you can capture it in some degree of photos, there is some wiggle room to be like, hey, work with us here. Let's kind of maybe center it to this side so you don't see it from the outside. But when you're inside and you're exercising, I don't think anyone's too pressed if they see the name of the company.
Sure. I think something like Marin Health that's local,
Yeah.
that makes sense. There's like obviously a connection between what you're doing and
Health.
and who's sponsoring it. And it's like it feels like you have a little bit more ownership of this space
For sure.
as somebody that's using it because it's a local
Yeah.
sponsor. But do we have any survey feedback from community on this yet? Or is this like, would we only get that if we said, yeah, that's our top priority, we want to go for it? Or can we run a survey to understand whether it should be a priority?
There was survey, there's one in the original master plan was done. The Age Friendly Corte Madera just did their recent survey 6 months ago. Sorry, Pat, it's
A year.
almost a year ago. That was one of the things that came up out of their survey was, what for seniors would you like to see in part of Age Friendly and Corte Madera? That was one of the items they did rise to the surface of things they wanted.
Okay.
People don't realize that a quarter of the population is over 60 in Corte Madera, and we are spending a lot of time and energy for the children. And I just hope we can also put our efforts towards those quarter of the population. I always imagined it right on the corner across from the firehouse. That corner there's nothing happening. The parking lot is right there. It seemed like the perfect spot for it. And
It's good. I think that it needs to be accessible too. So like where are the people that are going to use it is an important question.
right,
So that's why I was thinking it really depends. Like if we do pursue it, it depends on the location.
right.
I think a lot of the people over 60 typically, especially if it's 70 or over, they're probably in a single story, either a Marinere Cove or just kind of around. I think Town Park would probably be better also because if I'm a Cove School student and I'm in class and
Yeah.
I'm a third grader and I'm going outside for recess and I see these 65-year-old women working out across like by my like classroom, I'm gonna be like, what's going on over there? Oh, I'm gonna go look. And then I'm joining this random workout class. Obviously, like the teacher is probably gonna be watching me, but I
I
also
think
feel
that's a
like
good point.
it's probably an easier commute for the people using it if it's at Town Park. Two, it's like visually you see it more. Like if it's hidden in a corner, you're not gonna get a ton of traction on it because no one's seeing it. If it's at Town Park, you will drive past it. You'll see it when you're going with your kid. You'll see it when you're driving past the street. Like you'll see, be like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that is. And then also you don't have the concept of distracting class, especially like if you're having like a class taught to you. I feel like because there's third, fourth, and fifth grade classrooms along that like kind of corner-ish. Like there's the corner here, and there's like the classrooms here, and there's the parking lot in between, like the back lot and the volleyball courts. If you were to put a fitness lot there, I feel like that'd just be honestly a little distracting as a student.
Yeah, no, that
Or as a teacher too, because you're hearing it in the background. Also, the construction of that during for student like there's construction happening at Redwood right now. It is all the teachers are going crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you again. So, any more questions for me? Because I have
Hmm.
other just okay. Yes, sorry.
I have one quick question that I've wondered for like 10 years. What happened to the bathroom that's right in that spot that I was talking about? It used to be a bathroom. It got closed. It must still have underground pipes and things to make a bathroom there.
No, the one on the corner there.
On the
It's more closer to the fire department. I don't know. I believe Public Works has some storage stuff there they use, but I do not know.
I mean, we have such a dearth of bathrooms. It seems like here's an opportunity. Throw a prefab over it and presto, we got another bathroom. So that's my only question. Thank you.
Okay, I will thank you. Are there any other questions from the commission? No? Okay. I will now open public comment on this item.
We did not receive any emailed public comment on this item, and we currently have no online attendees and no attendees with raised hands.
Okay, seeing no further speakers, I will close public comment on this item. We'll return to the commissioners for further discussion and any action or direction to the staff.
So let me give a little summary of what Chair Miles kind of left me. Top priority items: town park, outdoor fitness equipment, a gathering fitness outside on the west side, Cove athletic field, some type of gathering space, fitness outside, improving the athletic facilities. Town Park and Cove Park, both adding new picnic tables. Town Park Plaza Connection expansion, gathering outside. Cove Park shade structure over picnic areas. Town Park bocce ball, gathering outside fitness, and Cove Park outdoor fitness. So that's kind of what her thoughts were for the list of items for master plan.
Is she suggesting bocce where the horseshoes were?
There's no location. There's just on the list of adding bocce at some point to Town Park.
Given that we can only add like 2 to 3 items, like I would suggest we add like one big ticket item, one easy win, we want to explore. The replacing picnic tables seems easy enough as like an easy win.
And replacing typical tables will happen if they've obviously are deteriorated, right? If they need to be replaced anyway, they will do it. But when we added the Cove Park Picnic Area 1, we added a third picnic table. So that was an unanticipated cost that we had in the capital budget. So we added one there. If you're doing a major renovation of, let's say, Cove Park Picnic Area 2, which is kind of backed by the school there, it's a much bigger discussion. There's an arbor there, there's a barbecue pit, there's things that changed. But again, that is on that property. So I think some of these are, yes, items that we want to see done, and some of these are things we want to explore going forward. Can this happen? Can we start the discussion with the district on X, Y, or Z, and then come back and have an idea from there?
Can I ask a question about that? Because I'm finding it difficult to understand what's the push-pull on these items if they're different sizes. Is it 2 or 3 regardless of any size, or does like t-shirt size matter? Are there extra large, medium, and can we say maybe a large if that's 2 smalls, right? We could actually pull in 2 smalls if we get rid of a large.
So it's 2 or 3 large items that are going to be
Large,
public
okay.
works interaction. So like some large, some involvement public works. So like some bigger project, like if we're going to build a bocce ball court and house, that's a lot of public works engineering, location, grading, possibly building it, all those things. That's a bigger project they would be involved in because we'd probably do it in-house. Now, maybe even contract out. Either way, if we contract it out, there's still construction management has to be done from somebody in public works to review the plans, to make sure that everything's ADA accessible and all those things. So I would say 2 or 3 of the larger items that would happen. And just so you know, from the list that we had for this fiscal year, things popped up, right, that we didn't anticipate, that we had to address. The Granada Park tennis courts, prime example. Those posts got snapped. They were old. The rest of them we didn't know they were. We needed to replace them. So that was a project that got elevated, and we found money in both capital or in sales tax to cover that cost. So these are just some guiding basic directions for me and my staff to work on, and then to bring the town council. So they say, here's kind of our barometer for the next year of things we want to work on that are measurable items that we can accomplish in the next year.
So are all of these large?
Tim, a lot of the people weren't here last year when we went through this. Do you remember how many items we forwarded to the council? Roughly?
I want to say we did 5. A lot of them were not capital projects, so there were either some were on agreement, some were on changing some of the quality of work life. So they weren't all 5 capital. Party Making Park, right? So they weren't big capital, but they were 5 or 6 things that we brought forward. Now, clearly, one of them is going to be the opening of the International Center. That's going to take a lot of bandwidth from both rec and public works. That's not a capital project. It's on this list because it's going to happen. So, but it's a list that's going to go on.
If you look at the list from what was accomplished in this year, that gives you kind of an idea of what we set forward last year.
One of the things I kind of liked when you were talking about was kind of finding things that are relatively still convenient, right? So finding a bathroom that could be very easily rebuilt. So looking at this, I think that as far as I know, I go to Piper Park sometimes to play pickleball. They've done a pretty good job of converting some of the tennis courts into pickleball courts and have a way of using 8. I think that 16, right? I think that if we were to just give them some sort of allowance or some sort of separation, right? Because sometimes people will come play tennis on the pickleball side and it's like there's 2 tennis courts empty there, right? So I think if we were to just kind of create some level of standard there, then we can get away without building more pickleball courts and just kind of draw the traffic over to Piper and have some sort of guarantee that they can play. And I think that would kind of take off the public works need to deal with it.
So we have that right now. So when we built the new pickleball courts, we launched the new online reservation system for the courts. So basically, we have a time when you can reserve courts, and there's open play time. So people can actually go and book time to play tennis or pickleball. And 2 courts at Town Park are striped for both tennis and pickleball, and 2 courts at Granada are striped for both tennis and pickleball. And then the only dedicated pickleball courts are at Town Park. So this popped up because we saw when we launched the system, the huge spike in actually tracking who was using the courts and how much the pickleball courts were used. Now, yes, it is only 2 courts, and it eliminates some of the challenges that Piper has. I talk to the director quite often, and it's a different challenge. You have 8 or 10 courts because you have a different atmosphere than just 2 courts playing, or if you had to 4 courts playing. It's more of a community than a I don't want to say gathering or large party, they have those challenges. So that was why we launched the track. We had no idea. We used to have a tennis court key system, and we didn't know how many people were using it. Now we have real data from 2.5 quarters of who's using the courts when, how much they're using them, how often they're getting used, the reservation being canceled. And we haven't had, knock on wood, those spikes between tennis and pickleball because they know, hey, I reserved, I go there, the courts, I got my confirmation. It's really easy to do. So we've been really happy with the system. And actually, two other cities, the ranch is going to it possibly in the new year, and possibly one in the North Bay to go with the same system.
Okay.
I
So
think, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say two things on that. So there's still a level of so there will be 2 empty tennis courts on the further side, like the side closer to Hall. And then you'll have pickleball playing on the side closer to the playground, right? But you'll still have, like, if they do a tennis practice, even if the 2 courts are empty, they'll still come here. So there's always still some level of tension. And I think Piper has now gotten to, like, they did their holiday party and there were almost 215 of them playing there. Yes, we did it at the restaurant. That's how I know. So they tracked 215 of them came to it, and it seems like they're really building a community. And I almost feel like if you split them between the 2 locations and you're like, hey, some of you can play at Piper, but now we're going to pull some of you here to another park, it's almost kind of killing that community because it's in like there are people from all sorts of walks of life. There's different ages. It's just really nice to see everyone that would have never otherwise gotten together play together. So I almost feel like there's some benefit to converting it at Piper instead of adding another location to kind of separate the crowd. Thoughts? Anybody?
No.
Oh.
No. But I think what you're saying, like, because also I'm trying to understand too, where are opportunities where there's lower lifts and higher value. And so, like, when I'm looking at the list, I think we're all just kind of guessing at what we should do first and what we should prioritize. But if we had assigned to that t-shirt sizes, so we know what the push pull can be, and then, like, what are we going to get out of it? How does it align with our goals? Like, I want to know what's our capacity? What can I do? What are the trade-offs? What do we get for those trade-offs? And where are the easy lifts? Like, where are there opportunities for, hey, we've got like this site that's already got existing piping and we know we're underserved on bathrooms and it would be really low lift to do that. Like, I think we need more context in order to make decisions around prioritization. Otherwise, we're all just kind of guessing.
I think that makes sense. So just being able to make a more strategic call,
Yeah.
right? So knowing what our capacity is and where can we do this more efficiently.
Yeah.
The problem is the meeting is Tuesday.
No, this meeting's not Tuesday. This needs to be the meeting's in January. But
No, the meeting for us to turn in our wish list.
the strategic plan is not until January. But I mean, these items are from the original master plan, from the survey that was sent out, and that the identified features at all the parks, and that's what this list comes from. We're really taking directly from the survey and putting it into the list for commission to tackle every year of what features you want to change or what features you want to improve on. So that's that data from 24.
Yes, that's correct.
The survey went out, and that's what they got that's what they developed these lists. That's what consultant basis said here.
The lower lift items that you're talking about are things that if we know about them, we typically handle them as a course of business through the deficiencies account. Like when it was pointed out that there was a dilapidated walkway in the code.
I'm also specifically talking about like opportunities, not necessarily just like, okay, well, there's something that needs to be done because this thing is broken, right? But like the tennis versus pickleball courts and opportunity, even though we don't have, that was a good example, even though we don't have control over Piper.
Because they're all featured on the master plan document. So this body picked them all as opportunities, and then they were labeled short-term, medium-term, long-term.
Yes.
As funds allow.
Yeah. Sorry. What I mean by opportunities is like being opportunistic about there's already infrastructure in place for XYZ here. And we could get a whole lot back in our ROI if we just elevated this priority to do that in this place, right? Like that kind of opportunity. I guess what I'm But I don't like I go through the whole master plan and try to memorize everything perfectly. But I think if we all saw a matrix like the list, but also tagged with here's the t-shirt size, here we can start to contextualize what the trade-off is and what the capacity is. Here's what we get from it too. Then we'd just be able to make more strategic decisions. Otherwise, because we sit up here and we deliberate like, well, I think this. I'm not sure. We have a ton of different questions, but if I think that would streamline the question and answer process if we knew what we are actually getting for this decision. Sorry for the rant.
A little bit more specifically, the survey is a demand product, right? So it's like people saying, hey, I want this, I want this, I want this, right? But it's not necessarily, oh, if we do this here, we can be more efficient, right? So I think what you're looking for is like, hey, this is the demand list, right? Let's look at the demand list and think about where it's easiest for us to build it and what is the easiest given the time frame that we like standing today of the demand list, what is the easiest thing to tackle because of the time and place that we're in, right? So similar to so we say, hey, we need bathrooms. I understand that someone says, I want bathrooms in this specific place. If we were to find a bathroom location that already has the piping that's 500 feet away, you're not really losing a lot putting it 500 feet away. But by putting it in that specific location, you're not doing the piping, you're not needing as much time and supervision. So I think he's just saying, how do we get more efficient with the demand list as opposed to just taking the demand list as like a, hey, these are the things that are most wanted.
And what are we? Yes, exactly. And what are we getting for that investment? What's the return on that for us? What are we delivering to the community? What boxes are we checking in our goals? So it's about being more efficient, but it's also about delivering more value.
So
I'll be honest, I'm not sure how we would do that without putting the survey out. Like, I mean, without having to figure out
I'm the t-shirt size, right? Like that's one thing. And we can say, we can make the call on, do we think this? And it should be pretty intuitive with the framework that we decided on for these are the values and these are the goals that we have. It's the demand list is different from what is the actual cost to serve that and time to build it. And then does it align with our goals? We can make that internal call. But seeing that all in one view would help us make much more strategic decisions.
So essentially just adding two more columns, right? So it's not just, hey, what are we trying to do? Just two more columns of this is how long that it would take. And this is the reason why, so to speak, right? So that we're able to be like, oh, okay, we want to add a court. It's going to take 10 months because of X, Y, and Z reason. Oh, there might be a better place to put this court so it doesn't take as long, right? So similarly to when we talked about the web and we were like, hey, we can do the web, like the fill in underneath the ground is more expensive. So let's do this instead, right? So just being able to make a choice and weigh the opportunity cost, I think is what you're suggesting.
100%. Yeah.
And then the key values, I think, will be really helpful as well, but just matching them to how do we get the maximum towards the key values based on how long everything will take. Is that too much of an ask?
So projects differ based on whether or not we opt to handle them in-house, or if it's urgent and we don't have in-house capacity, then we have to contract out. So that would increase the cost. So there's two different options based on how we approach projects.
That's called a best case, worst case. That's just like the spectrum is like best case, it costs this much, it takes 5 months. Worst case is it costs double and it takes 3 times the amount of time or whatever it is. Like that still helps give us more context around how do we make the decision.
So even if it's not an exact number, you're okay with the range.
Well, yeah, but I think that's why I was saying I'm phrasing this in terms of software development. So apologies, but t-shirt size is just like, yeah, like okay, the context of we could do 2 to 3 large projects really helps. What I really want to know is, okay, well, what are the trade-offs I can make? And then if I make those trade-offs, do they deliver more value than can I trade one large project for 2 or 3 small projects? And do I get more value than doing that large project?
Well, how many large projects are there?
What's that?
How many large projects are there on the
Well, I'm just
list?
going by number, but I was looking at like the over 200K would seem like a large project. That's all
Mhm.
I'm,
Be any bathroom project.
yeah, that seems like that would be a large project too. But I don't have the context. And I just think instead of sitting up, we're all going by gut feel. I don't think we should go by gut feel. I think we should take a more strategic approach. That's all I'm saying.
I also, considering how expensive the bathrooms are, I would love to see if there's like, if you can think of one off the top of your head, I'm sure there's a couple of other areas that have some degree of piping that haven't been maintained or continued, and it might be a much lesser cost price for us if we were to take something existing, even if it's not the optimal location. If you're close to optimal, I almost feel like that's better than spending $200,000 building a bathroom from scratch. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So instead of spending $1 million, if we can find some degree, and I'm sure there's somebody that know, like I don't personally know where this would be, but I'm sure there's somebody who has some sort of plans and can be like, hey, we have buried piping here. It's going to be slightly easier to do it here and substantially cheaper to do it there.
How do
Right?
we optimize it?
Talking specifically.
Mm. Yeah. So I want to be cognizant of everybody's time here because I think this was supposed to be a shorter meeting, but let's pull back from the bathrooms. I think the larger point is where there's opportunity to optimize based on existing infrastructure or just, something that's already there we can capitalize on. Maybe that's the right term. I think we want to know where that is, whether it's a bathroom or anything else. So the bathroom can be part of the whole discussion. But I'm just finding it difficult to, and again, maybe I'm handicapped here, like I'm new to this, but I'm just finding it difficult to contextualize the ask when we're being asked to make decisions and pretty quick decisions. Like this one was like, we have to make a decision tonight. And I don't feel like we have all the information around what value are we actually getting and what are the trade-offs.
And keep in mind, we're making a recommendation. Obviously, this is going to go to a list of town council. Town council say, hey, we're not going to do these three things. We're going to do these three other things. And that's town council's discretion. Now we advise them, but they decide, oh, we're not going to do this year. We want to punt it till next year. We think this is more important. So that's what that strategic planning workshop is, to develop that plan for 2026. So that's that discussion plan.
But we're still being asked to make a recommendation on it without full context.
So can we pass a motion to request somebody who is very well versed with the city, has some sort of historical knowledge of the city, to do a quick informational offload onto this to just give us a little bit more context, right? So somebody who has a little bit more historical view of the city, just say, hey, this bathroom is a good idea. This might be a better place to do it, right? Or
but I think I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. I think that's what the master plan was. No one in this town is going to be able to tell you this is a better value than this. They're just going to say, these are the projects that are identified that could be in this park. Do you want to go forward with this or not? There's not a town staff member is going to say, if you choose to do outdoor fitness equipment, here are the challenges if you do it at this location compared to if you want to build a new bathroom at town park. Here are your different challenges that are going to be at this location. I don't think they're going to be able to tell you a return on investment or
pros and cons.
It's possible
Why
the master
not?
plan document might just need to be organized better because all of this information, it sounds like, is contained within that master plan document. They did evaluate every facility and the options available for improvements at that facility, and also heads up about accessibility and other deficiencies noted at that facility. And then they organized all of the recommendations for each facility into easiest to do in the short term, medium term, long term, and as funding allows.
Right.
So there were 4 different
categories.
pots of options. Like they organized it by upgrades that would be most achievable in the short run. Like
But we're
the
not
most
seeing that
useful.
distilled into one slide. Like, that's what I'm asking. Like, in this presentation, none of that's there. I can go back and read through that master plan. It's very long, and try to remember everything and memorize everything. I'm not a subject matter expert on it though, so it's going to be very difficult for me. But presenting to a board, I think one slide on this is what the trade-offs are. This is our recommendation. This is where we think that we can gain some efficiencies. And these are your options for what you can push out and trade off and pull in. That would help us make much quicker, more educated decisions.
Does it seem like we have a direction on what we want to do as a group based on this? Should I call for a motion?
But there's no motion.
Doesn't
It's
need
just,
a
I mean, if we're not going to if we're not going to identify projects now, then I've got to figure out how to bring that back to you in time to meet. Because when is that meeting scheduled? I don't have my
It's
calendar.
end of January.
Yeah.
We don't.
When is it due to the council?
The strategic planning session is the 23rd of January. Commission would not meet again until the 28th of January, I believe. So it's on here. The 26th of January,
26th.
the Monday afterwards.
So we have to make our recommendations now, otherwise we don't get to present them to council.
Or plan a special meeting, is it correct? Which is what we're having today.
The question is, would there be a way to meet what Daniel's asking for? A concise kind of overview in that interim. It sounds like a heavy lift. So to staff, is that even possible?
Not for me alone, no. It would have to include some public works staff and some other stuff to figure out of these items, what's the trade-offs, what are recommendations, what's your return on investment of the best ability they can put in a slide. But that's other departments, not what I would know. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, anything's possible. It's just we'd have to have a special meeting before we write that, go into that meeting, so council can have a discussion of items that should be or should not be included in the strategic plan.
And if there were a meeting before, we could have that information brought to us at that time, you think?
I honestly don't know how long it would take Public Works to turn around some of that information. I mean, if you're talking like, okay, let's take I know the bathroom's the top topic. What's the cost of if you replace the bathroom that was there or replace the one next to the town park playground or next to the tennis courts? What's the cost? What's the return on investment? What are the trade-offs? Is it possible? That's a Public Works discussion. I don't know.
I also don't want to get like we don't have to we don't need to know exactly. We just need a swag. So like somebody that can say my best guess is this and contextualize it, rather than saying, oh, I've got to research the exact dollar number and timeline and scope and everything. Like we don't need that. We just need what the swag is. But I could be alone here. I don't know, because again, I'm having trouble contextualizing. Can I just ask the rest of the board, like, is this seem like an issue worth solving?
I mean, my concern is that we might be overcomplicating it. If there's a way that we can simplify it and saying, look, thought that we have to play with, there's some options with a rough value there. And maybe that's enough. And so Tim, maybe you can remind me. So this is a recommendation to town council on what we'd like at our final opportunity to put through for the rest of the year, or is there a way that
It's developing the work plan for what Park and Rec and Public will work on for the next year. So these are the items or the topics or the things that they're going to work on for the year. So these are just the capital projects or the big ticket items that Public Works and the Park and Rec will work on to accomplish. So it's that one opportunity to basically work that through with council in a goal setting session, and then it goes to the final council to finally approve the strategic work plan in a public meeting. But it's developing kind of a to-do list for the year, I guess.
It's not necessarily the final say though, because things happen. The playground equipment broke, so we had to start that process. A foundation came to us and said, we really want to partner with you to help build a new skate park. So we worked with them.
right? So that's actually, I mean, a good example. And
Mostly just aligning staffing with projects and making sure that you're focusing your funding and your resources on something that there's
Tim, you and I are the only ones that have been through this
I know, I
process
know.
before. And so we have the gift of some context for that. And
And last year was the first year that we really approached it like this. So we're all sort of learning how best
how
So-
do it.
bring this
So
handle.
I think it's just kind of getting an overall uh concept of some of the things that we want to highly prioritize. And then there is some wiggle room after that if, something comes up mid-year that, we should have
Yeah, and again, that's why I say I don't like it doesn't need to be a super involved process where we get every single detail. Just a swag is fine. Like, but I'm assuming that there's somebody that knows
Ask what a swag is.
I think he's thinking like order of magnitude, right?
order of magnitude. Yeah, I was gonna say there's a mild curse word in that um acronym.
Talk after me.
Super wild guess is is the majority of it.
but we have on here already the items that are like up for grabs.
Right, but I don't know. But we're saying it's a list of 12, 13, or whatever, and we can do 2 to 3. I mean, I don't know what those get us and how to prioritize that. Again, I'm sorry, I'm on a bit of a tear right now, but I need more context.
So what if we come up with a compromise where we say, hey, we need a little bit more information. Whatever we can get will be a better judgment than we can make today without it, right? So even if we can't get order of magnitude on everything, even if we can't get a pro con on everything, whatever the public works is able to give us will make us a little bit better informed to make a decision. And with 4 of us, correct me if I'm wrong, new to the process, just to feel like we did make the best judgment, maybe there is room for a special meeting to be held. Just like I said, like if this is something that we are going into 2026 with, and there is wiggle room, but this is like our recommendation, we might as well do a good job of it and do it with maximum information we can. And if it doesn't affect the timeline, right? So if we can get one done before the 23rd, then I think it's worthwhile doing because we'll lose 30, 40 an hour maximum on our end and then be very grateful. And Public Works will probably appreciate us making a smarter decision based on their recommendations, I would hope. And so I think that it's probably sensible to just see how much more information can we get before we decide.
Is it possible to have someone from Public Works come to the next meeting?
Absolutely. They can, absolutely they can come. I think they're gonna have the same challenge of trying to grasp what Rebecca and I are challenging of how do we give you that information that helps you make that educated decision, right? So is it how do we tell you over pick, just for example, like bathrooms or bocce ball courts at Town Park? Is it helpful to know that, hey, it's going to be 6 months for a new bathroom or a year for a new bathroom, or it's going to be 3 months for a bocce ball court and we can do it in house? Is that valuable to know when you make your final decision?
That is value. Yeah, along with like what do we get out of it, right?
Yeah.
Like we developed a framework of like goals that we want to align each project with. Like, can we like what goals do those projects meet?
But I would also say is that as we've learned this year, it's like there's times when they don't have the bandwidth, they contract it out. So it may be some, hey, we're having to, but my plan was to get it
The
done.
pickleball courts were supposed to take 2 months
Right.
and then they didn't.
Sure. Another thing that might be helpful for context, personally for me, would be, hey, we have 30 bathrooms. So that is 1 bathroom for every 15,000 people. On average in America, like good cities that are well developed have a bathroom for every 20 people. And I'm like, ooh, this one is important because we're far behind, right? Whereas if you're like, hey, we see like we have 7 pickleball courts, right? Then I'd be like, okay, we have 7 pickleball courts. It doesn't seem like there is that much urgency there. And that takes only 3 months to build. So maybe we can push that to a little later. But the bathrooms, we are so far behind. It takes a year. We better get mosey on that. Does that make sense? Like it doesn't even have to be exact numbers, but if you give me at least that much, because like, can anyone tell me how many bathrooms there are?
That's exactly. I couldn't agree more. 100%. Like that kind of like there should also, I want to hear opinions as well. Like I feel like again, I don't do bathroom civic planning. So I need that sort of context.
And if you don't think we can get it before then, I completely understand, and I'm happy to follow the lead of the two that have done this before and know the city a little bit more intimately, right? Like, I'm happy to do that. I personally, I don't spend too much time going to public bathrooms, and I don't know, like, I don't, I don't. So I don't know. Is there always a line? And people are like, God, this is really annoying, right? Like, I don't know. So it would.
It
That's
is
what
with
I'm
the
saying. Like, I don't.
restrooms, although it may be too big of a price tag to tackle this year. The intent with that outreach process for the restrooms was this body and the planning commission, and then ultimately the town council vetted that process and that provider and that aesthetic to be scaled up or down for larger or smaller bathrooms should we want to add more in the future. So that we wouldn't have to necessarily start that process with the look and the feel and the aesthetics of a
And
design.
the company.
If we would just have to and dig.
Yeah. But then, from what I understand, the council will have similar information to what we are provided, right? To an extent, maybe a little bit more thorough.
Council's going off your recommendation. So if you, let's say, for example, tonight you decided pickleball courts, bocce courts, and the new bathroom town park. Those are the three things that you put forward, and basically Public Works will have a discussion of, hey, we can accomplish these or we can't. The price tag is this. Okay, Public Works, how do we have enough money in the capital project to put aside for these projects, or something? Hey, we can't do this year, but we're going to put money aside this year and money aside next year to figure those projects out.
And council may come with their own priorities as well. They may see value in adding that pathway from the dog park to Cafe Verde to get people out of the parking lot. So they may say, well, we would really like to see this happen. So it may not be cut and dried. They accept 2 of your 3 projects, but they also add one of their own.
Sure, but I think then we would definitely want to give at least some good reasoning as to why we chose what we did, right? So saying, hey, we chose this because X, Y, and Z reason. So I think it's even more important than for us to not just go off of gut feeling like, hey, I play pickleball. I see a long line at pickleball. I don't go to the bathroom here, so I don't know if there's a long line there. So I think pickleball is more important, right? Like I'm going from a very selected viewpoint of what I do interact with on the daily. And I don't think I'm the average Corte Madera resident.
I mean, so a lot of this is not going off a gut feeling, because all of this is based off extensive research from the master plan. This is what the community wants, right? So it's not like we're just thinking, oh, okay, well, you know, this would be nice personally. This is something that's been well vetted and thought out. Anything on here, people are gonna be happy with. But I understand your point where it's nice to be able to have at least an argument for what's held as.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, that's the demand list. Like, we're working from this list for a reason. And that's because that's what the community wants. But we're also being asked to prioritize out of this long list 2 or 3 things. And there's also taxpayer dollars that is going to it. Like, how do we know that we're going to deliver value if we do this thing? And I think context matters. And again, I apologize for the rant, but like, I look at this, I go, bocce ball, that would be super exciting. But if you told me the only way that we could do bocce ball is where the horseshoes are right now, I'd say absolutely not. I don't want to do that. Deprioritize it, because that's a terrible location. It's right by the road. It doesn't feel like a safe place to relax and play a game. I don't think it's a great idea. I think it would be much better. It's highly context dependent in my view. So that's why I think we need the context. It depends how you deliver these things and where, and how confident we are in the value that they're going to bring, and if it's a good use of taxpayer dollars. So that's, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't have all of the information I need to make a recommendation.
So just adding a little bit of constraint and context to the demand list, because this is just the people that voted. This is what they wanted, right? It's not necessarily the most efficient things to do, right?
Right.
Should we? So if we did want to call a special meeting, would we request, how would that work?
Well, so direction from this, we'd have to figure out a day that the council chambers are open to have a special meeting. I'd have to work with Public Works to figure out, can they produce this information that's helpful? And then you'd have the special meeting just on this topic before the strategic planning workshop.
It seems like it would be better if a person could be here to field questions because as they come up, they would be here rather than having to
Yeah,
produce a document
I
that
think-
answers them.
So the challenge I'm going to see just is that they may be here to answer a question, but to figure out what the return on the investment is without taking some of that master plan and digesting it all, I don't think they're going to know because the public works guys aren't the experts of the master plan. The expert in master plans were the staff who were here and the consultants who came through and did every single survey with us and walked through every facility. Public works wasn't a part of that. They are just executing out these tasks and these projects that were on this list.
Yeah, I think that's where I would love your opinion, Tim. Like, I think, you know, if I think about it, like an engineer is not going to, they're going to have an opinion on the task and scope and time to completion and whatever, and what needs to be involved. But you understand the framework of values and goals that we have. So I feel like you're a good filter for, well, this checks off these boxes.
Sure.
And I think together with both of those, we'd be in a great place,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of the project specific context would take care of that. So if I'm like, hey, okay, why is the bathroom going to cost us 1 million, right? Okay, is there somewhere else we could do it if it'll be cheaper than 1 million? Do you see urgency in making this happen? And that would come to you, right? So I think if we can bounce ideas off of two, I think the idea to have someone here would be fantastic. But I also might be joining you and overcomplicating it. So
I'm trying to simplify it. So we're trying to simplify this
Yes.
process.
What I would say, so in my mind, I think, you know, we started this in October. I think we should have identified the list and come back at this meeting and say, here's some additional information that would be helpful to make that decision, right? So like when we first did this 2 years ago, it was like, where did the money come from to pay for these projects? Because nobody had any idea. We kind of shared that. Now it's like, if that's helpful to say, hey, when we identify these projects in October, when you come back in December, give us the other columns so we can kind of make a discussion instead of what we've heard in the community or what we've seen in the master plan or with things that people keep asking. That's how I think we've heard all these things, and that's why they got on the master plan, right? People filled out the plan because they were projects they want to see, their amenities they wanted to see, or whatever it was. That was our opportunity, and then we take that document and put it in that. But I think because I mean, in my mind, it is a time crunch to get all the information back to you, at least with something to say, here's at least some idea. Does this help you make a better decision? At least to advance to the council and say, here's kind of what we did. Do you agree with these or do you not? So I think that's, at this point, I think if we can't pull out a couple items, I think that's the best thing to do. And to look at the end of this meeting to figure out when we could have a special meeting to bring this back before the strategic planning session.
Okay, that we can try and do that. Does anyone have an opinion on what project they think is very important? Most important, biggest priority?
I would hesitate to go there because if you're going to start talking about that, then we would just pick projects right now. If you want more data,
Yeah,
it's hard to vote on, hey, you know, Tim will motion, I want to add these 3 things, but without data, how can everybody else? What I'm hearing is can't agree to that. They don't, until I have that data, it's hard for me to say that's the projects I agree with. So I would hesitate to start having that discussion until I come back with other information. Then you have that further discussion. Because I mean, we know certain people are passionate about certain projects, both at commission and council level. And I think that, yes, for a long time, we heard a lot of people, that's kind of how the pickleball happens. Like, we need more pickleball courts. So we built 2 pickleball courts. Hey, we really know that there's a lot of people want the fit lot. So that was kind of things. Or, hey, we really want these things. That's how you guys hear about that in the community. That's how the discussion happens, at least at the start level, before it goes to town council. I mean, I just, like I said, this process is evolved every year, I think. And I think the second part of the process is, you know, when you guys make this list, being going to public works, like, is this attainable? Can you do here's the 3 best things we want to get. It meets all our boxes. Can you do them? And if you can, that's great. But if you can't, then I'm switching to the council that doesn't make any sense. That's the trade-off, right? It's like if we fill all the boxes and we identify the 4 projects, public infrastructure goes, no, we don't have the bandwidth to do that. So then it falls back on staff to figure out how do we accomplish them, if not this year, then next year. Correct. Whatever it takes, but then that's the cost that these are not including outside, these are in-house projects that are managed by public works staff, not managed by a third-party consultant.
I guess my question for everyone is that like, do we feel like most of us have enough, want more data, or like are most of us comfortable of making a recommendation tonight? Or do most of us want more data?
Do we want to vote on this or have an internal conversation?
I think you need to have a discussion. I think it's, yeah. I think-
Discussion.
Yeah,
But I do think that Patty and I, well, let me just speak myself, is that we have a little bit more context in how we did this all last year, how it goes throughout the year, and all of a sudden curveballs can happen. Scotty Lapp comes around and is going to be doing a whole bunch of paving. Hey, pickleball courts is on the list. Economies of scale, boom, we were able to do it. And that changes. And there are going to be things like that. So I'm not as concerned with there's no bad choices here. Like you said, all of a sudden, you know, maybe one of our top 3 priorities isn't going to come back to us and then make another suggestion. I mean, I'm very familiar with the stuff that's on here as Patty is. I'm comfortable with it, but I totally want to be respectful for everybody else. And if you get, I will be here in January to meeting. That's just my.
I want to clarify, I don't think it's data. I think it's context.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Right, like
Yeah,
to the
absolutely.
point of like I need to know if you say our town has 12 bathrooms. I don't know how that relates to best practices in other towns and our population and how they're used. I need context for that. Right. So again, the bathroom. So that's all I'm asking is like, can we do a t-shirt size? This is a large project. This is a medium project. This is a small project. If you want, how many small projects can I trade for a large project? I would like to know that stuff. And then again, what do we get out of it?
So I think,
Agree with that perspective. I just feel like maybe from my read of this, like at this point, it seems like it's like too heavy of a lift to ask. Like, I
Sure,
think
but I think we could
make the
start.
decision for this year, and then going forward next year, we'll get this stuff like earlier, so then we can have like the ability to make a more educated decision on it.
I think
so,
Like pull
Right.
more of this
so
information.
here would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
I think after listening to the discussion, my suggestion would be is to form an ad hoc subcommittee with 2 commission members to work on this. So when we come back in January, you're presented with the information you want to see, right? So that literally we work with staff behind the scenes to have these meetings to make sure we're getting the data and the information you want and the metrics so that you as a group can make a full decision. We've done this with the playground. We've done this with the Scotty Lap. It makes the most sense to have people who are passionate about it, who know information about it, to work with staff to be able to say, okay, let's work on this so that when we present again, it answers all the questions people have, or at least the majority of the questions people have. So we have an educated discussion.
Long term, you have a better way to evaluate this master plan document.
Correct.
Yeah.
And next year it would happen after the October meeting, so that in December we come with a different
Yeah.
graphic so that commission, whoever's on the commission at the time, can make that decision.
That
The
sounds good.
outcome of that subcommittee would be just much more detailed instruction around what the information is that we want. Is that with a, 'cause obviously the subcommittee, I'm on the subcommittee with one other member of the board. We can't come up with the information that goes in there.
No, we'd work with the staff to come up, like to let them know
Oh,
what
okay.
we want. So
You would meet with staff
Okay.
to figure out basically a summary of what happened tonight,
Okay.
what things you'd want to see. We'd basically go back and produce some of it and then figure out, do you need more information or not?
Okay.
And then I mean, we had, I think Commissioner Rose and I met several times when we started this whole playground committee a year ago of designs and thoughts and everything else, and then basically report back to the commission. Obviously, this is reporting back as a business item to help the whole commission actually better understand. I think the first year we did this, we had a subcommittee with, I can't remember who it was, to figuring out where the funding came from. I want to say it was it the Emily's? I don't remember, but we had basically, because when I first joined the Park Rec department, we didn't know where the funding came from. We had all these projects, but we didn't know it came from Measure A funds or capital funds, or it came from the sales tax. We didn't know, but that was helpful. As like, hey, we did these last 5 projects or these last 10 projects. Here's where they were funded, and have a better idea of what they would be funded going forward and how they'd be accomplished. I just think it's a subcommittee that we keep and really happens in this process so that people are better educated and have a better idea what's elevated on the council.
So you're saying two people could form a subcommittee and they could gather that context that is missing at this point.
Look, they would basically work with staff to figure out what context you need.
Mhm.
Staff would
Right,
then go
right.
work on it. We'd meet
Okay.
again to say, here's some of the stuff I got back. What am I missing? Or what's incomplete?
Okay.
And
And then when would we meet again?
You would have a special meeting in
special
January,
meeting,
correct,
okay.
to report out on what happened at the subcommittee.
I'm happy to be on the subcommittee. I just need somebody with that can guide me in the process.
Oh,
Like who we're meeting with, that kind of like what, yeah. So
um,
Okay, but she has date.
okay. So if we did want to do that, how does the process, do we vote on it or do we just say we're doing it?
So you'd
The
have to,
committee.
you'd have to ask as chair of who wants to be on the subcommittee.
Okay.
And
Who
then
wants,
we'd have to have volunteers, and if they're not volunteers, we would assign. And then basically we would work on offline with staff to figure out when to start meeting and what information, and then work with Rebecca to figure out the days we have able to have a special meeting in January.
okay. Do I have any volunteers for the subcommittee?
me.
Great.
Do you want to look at a special meeting date now or wait till the end of the meeting?
We can look now.
That's fine.
I can at least give you the dates that I know this chambers is available. Knowing that town hall is closed for the last 2 weeks of December. We could potentially meet on Wednesday, the 7th, or Thursday, the 8th, but I'm not sure. We have 1 more week left of town hall being open, so it may be difficult to get information together in advance of that meeting. So the 7th or the 8th, Monday, the 12th, if there is no BPAC meeting that night, and then the 14th or 15th, Wednesday or Thursday. So the week of the 12th, I need to check with Public Works tomorrow and see if they're planning on having a bicycle pedestrian advisory committee meeting on the 12th. And if not, then the room is available. And Wednesday, January 14th, or Thursday, January 15th.
Just list off them individually and raise your hand.
That works.
5,
I'm good for that.
and knock it out real quick.
Easy enough.
Let us start with the 7th, Wednesday the 7th. 5.
4.
We need 4.
Well,
I was told a minimum of 4. 4 is quorum.
Okay.
Okay.
For all of us.
Be enough. Do you want to see if there's one that works later for people, just to see if, to give people more time who are doing the research?
honestly, I think the week of the 12th would probably be ideal.
I would have
14th or
I would have reservations of being able to have several subcommittee meetings and with Public Works and turn around to have a meeting on the 7th, which means the packet would have to be posted when we're on vacation.
Correct.
So that's why I think the next week is
Yeah, I
a
think we
better
should
option.
try for later, just to give the people doing the research more time. Try it.
14th.
Double checking. Says the room is free. I would need to double check with a couple people in the morning. I need to make sure that the planning commission is not planning to have a special meeting. I know they have several special meetings coming up in the first part of the year. But as of the moment, the room is not reserved. That's the best I can go on.
We have 4.
Probably not. I might be able to, but I'd like to err on the safe side and say no.
We have 4.
Well, but I would, if Daniel's given a subcommittee, I think it better to.
I can't, yeah, if it's necessary for me to be, I can't make it that entire week. I'm going to be away.
So then the week earlier then.
The 7th is the only alternative that works for me. I mean, yeah, the week earlier, unless there are other dates during that week.
How long do you
I
need
believe it was
after?
the 7th or 8th.
7th or 8th work for me.
How long do you need between the recommendations and the council meeting? No, but how many days in between? Like, could we do earlier on that week itself?
I don't know when the town manager intends to publish the packet for that meeting. It would have to be published. It's a public meeting.
Okay.
So it's a Friday, so the packet would have to be published on Tuesday. Typically we publish that one earlier to give the council
That
more
makes
time to
sense.
digest, but I don't know yet because I hadn't asked that question.
I mean, I guess my question is, if you're not able to attend, but you've attended the previous subcommittee meetings, can vice chair report on what was in the meetings if you have enough data? I guess that's my question, but
Yeah, sure. I'm sure during our subcommittee meetings, we'll reach a consensus of some sort. And I can bring his thoughts in, or we can do what you did with the chairman for Miles.
Yeah. Also, is it possible that if he zoomed in, he wouldn't be considered present, but he would be able to speak during public comment?
that is correct. But he can't give.
I
he
will
can't-
not be
yeah.
able to zoom in.
Okay.
You can send a letter before.
I can send a letter.
Back to the 14th.
No, oh yeah, 14th.
So we're thinking 14th. And you write some paragraphs. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because the next week is you're dealing with a holiday and too tight.
So 14th?
6:30 still, correct? 6:30?
Correct.
Do we want to?
It doesn't have to be 6:30. That's your regular meeting start time. If it works better to have it earlier, you could.
Oh, can we please? I like sleep.
Do we want to have a second date if the 14th doesn't work? Can we check everything?
Yes, actually, I would just like to know your availability for the 12th, the 14th, and the 15th. And if your preference is the 14th as the first choice, just because I have several departments I have to check.
Do we want to vote on the 12th?
I'm good on the 12th.
I can't do the 12th.
Okay. 15th is good. I prefer the 15th over the 14th, but I can probably make it work.
I can do either 14th or 15th. I just can't do 12th. Both good for me. You said it doesn't have to be at 6:30. What's the latest we could do? For like on the 12th, on the 12th, I can do anything after 8. So that's why I was asking.
Oh, and that's a little late for staff
yeah.
to be staying.
That's yeah.
I give myself a bedtime. So thank you.
I'm just trying to be flexible. Okay, so we have the 14th or the 15th.
With the preference being the 15th or
I would prefer the 15th, but again, I can make the 14th work.
Pinch it.
Daniel can't.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah,
don't
you're
think-
you're just
Yeah.
not.
I don't have a preference. I'm okay with either.
okay. Well, we'll check with Chair Miles as well.
So should we move on to the next item?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you set the subcommittee or?
They just, I mean, we don't-
Done, we did it.
Appointed by the chair.
yeah, whatever.
Hold
The
on.
vice chair.
You're the chair for the meeting.
Oh, okay. Okay. Item 6, staff updates and commissioner reports. This item provides staff and commissioners with an opportunity to briefly report on current developments and make announcements. The commission may not take action or engage in discussion of these items, but commissioners may request the staff report back the commission on any items or request that the item be placed on future agenda. Can I hand it over?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So we had the annual Thanksgiving turkey trot on Thanksgiving morning. It was bitter cold, but we had a good turnout. I would say between 550 to 600 people. We hand out stickers when you cross the finish line. Is how we track it. A lot of big smiles, a lot of happy people. We had some great partners with Nugget Market. Was able to donate some food and some fruit, and some community members who were out there helping serve water and serve food. I will tell you one of the biggest smiles I saw was a young man who passed his whole family and ran. And I said, "Where'd you leave your dad?" "In the dust." That was your son, by the way. So he was so funny. Great.
Sounds about right.
It sounds all right. But everybody had a great time. I mean, it is grown. It has grown every year. It was started by a couple of community members, and it literally has gotten bigger and bigger. But you saw people on bikes, you saw dogs, you saw strollers. It is really a good event. And we are very happy to still be coordinating that going forward. Letters to Santa, the deadline is this Friday. So we have a little mailbox in front of the rec center. People drop off letters and we take care of that and send it off. Corte Madera Art Invitational is up right now. It is a beautiful, beautiful display. We had the opening last Saturday. We had 225 people show up, which is a huge turnout. We have partnered with the Painted Bins, which is the program that Kathy Huber and Liza Matthews run out of the schools. So on half the facility, we have all of the artwork up, which is the artwork that will go in the recycling, compost, and garbage bins throughout town. And then we have the other formal art that is up by local artists, everything from ceramics to oil paintings. We have two amazing watercolors that are each 5,000 each. They're beautiful, beautiful moorings that this artist does, and they do an amazing job. And our closing is the 17th of December, where the Painted Bids will announce the winners, and we will take all the art down and return it back to the owners. Gingerbread House decorating is December 20th. We are sold out. We're flooding. We're sitting at 75 people, so it will be a big event and full. Town Park Eastfield was approved by the town council last week or this week, last week, basically for them to execute the contract to go out to bid to replace the natural sod at the Eastfield. That is hopefully to get those bids back and start that project probably in February. Last two things I have is I am currently finishing up my run as the California Park and Rec Society District 1 president. So it's a 3-year term being vice president, vice president, president-elect, and president of Region 1, which spans from Marin to the Oregon border. I am also, when this term is done, running to be the region rep, which means I would be the region rep for California Park and Rec Society from pretty much Sacramento to the East Bay and all of Marin and Sonoma County. So it's a state board position where I would basically represent the state of California, Park and Rec, in our region on activities going on in the region and in the local city. So that is something I'm working on. The last thing I'll say is just hope everybody has a happy holidays with all their family. I appreciate all the hard work. I appreciate the dedication. My staff really enjoys providing the community. I hope you hear good things. I hope you enjoy time with family and friends. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, next regular meeting for Parks and Rec is going to be on Monday, January 26th.
You didn't do
Go
the
back to
commissioner
commissioner
reports.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. No, Patty's ready.
I'm ready to go.
Passing
Except
on the commissioner reports, please.
I watched the council meeting from December 2nd, and the relevant item of note for us was the approval of the Eastfield update. They said it is going to require removing 4 to 6 inches of topsoil, creating 1 to 2% grade, and some of it is now flat, so that's going to be better. And installing a mix of bluegrass and rye. And they didn't say if they were going with the gopher wire or not. They said that that was a possibility, but then they didn't vote on it. I vote for add the gopher wire. And then it's supposed to start in late January or February and be ready to use for the spring. So it was unanimously passed. They did go with the gopher wire.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was in the scope of the project.
Go Gophers.
And then just to add on that, because last week I did not report on the November, their regular meeting, in which we and then there was also a presentation honoring the muralist Joel Herbert. So she pitched to the commission all over a year ago to do a nice Trader Joe's under the overpass. So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely go check it out. It looks beautiful.
There's an article published about it in the Redwood Bark. I did not write it.
And it was not town funds that paid for it either.
No, it's not.
That is correct.
So good. We should do another one on the other side. So when you're driving back that way.
What's the opposite of a whale? So you just do that. Well, it's a whale mural, so you could do the opposite of a whale. What's the opposite of a whale? I don't know. You know, like sun, moon. I don't know.
I think it's probably a goldfish.
Maybe like an ant. I don't.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm losing it. Someone else want to talk? I feel awkward now.
So the Eastfield Hat subcommittee did not meet the town park playground obviously did meet because we presented tonight. Executive Advisory Committee meeting, and then just any individual commissioner updates they want to share before we close out.
No?
Regarding the intergenerational center, finally, the lease was signed. If anyone doesn't know where it is, it's next door to the DMV. Go peek your head in there. It's got windows galore. It's wonderful. So we'll be planning programming, and we'll be planning how to divide up the space and what kind of coloring we want in there and what kind of flooring and all kinds of things. But it's going to be wonderful. And we've been working on the sign that it will say opening this summer. And that's the next thing you're going to see on the spot. And then it'll open next summer and everyone can come and cut the ribbon.
Congratulations. Adjourn? Do I adjourn now? Does anyone have anything else they want to add? No? Perfect.